What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holly, and we are back with another episode of Believe in the Cowboys. Remember, you can find Believe at Believe Network. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on all the places where you get your podcast from: Apple, Spotify, anywhere. So tap in, make sure you're locked in, make sure you hit the notification button so that you know every single time we drop an episode for Believe in the Cowboys. But let me get the business out the way first. To my partners and my people over at Bet Online, is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football. It is football season, so make sure you get your bets in. Bet Online has every single stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. You can get your live betting on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get into our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread each and every week for your chance to win a weekly prize and a share of $200K. If you guys are like me, you could probably use a share of $200K, right? Like anything, a part of that will be a benefit for gas, for something, for food. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with over 150 online slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. Big game this weekend for the Cowboys. And the reason why it's a big game, you never want to have a game where you come out the gates and then you lay an egg. People believe that heading into this season that the Cleveland Browns were going to be a decent football team, not world beaters. I don't know if they were going to be Super Bowl contending good, but they were definitely going to be playoff team good. They had, last year, a top 2 or 3 defense in the National Football League, and so that gave them some credibility in coming into that game. People didn't know what Deshaun Watson was going to be, and still don't really know what Deshaun Watson is or going to be. It's a lot of different things are coming out, and he's dealing with some more legal stuff. That has to be a headache, but that's neither here nor there. But the Cowboys did what they were supposed to do. They came in, they went on the road. Mind you, they went on the road and beat a quality opponent. Now, we can go back, we can, run this back 8-9 weeks from now. If the Cleveland Browns are a boo-boo franchise and a boo-boo team, then we'll go, well, maybe it wasn't such a quite quality win. But coming into the season, it's a quality win to start the year. You go on the road, you're underdog in that game, and you go in, and you kind of win that game pretty convincingly. There was a point in that game where I felt that Dallas was in trouble. They pretty much handled business from start to finish. But then you come to this week. You're back at home. You're opening up the home stadium, AT&T Stadium, against the New Orleans Saints. And another one of those games when you look at this team and you go, 9-8 football team last year. They were like in a 2 or 3-way tie in the NFC South and missed out on making the playoffs. And then over the course of the offseason, they've gotten some things in order, and they opened up the year. And they opened up the year with a 47-point beatdown. Now, let me pump my brakes, because if you watched a little bit of football that weekend, you realize and you recognize the Carolina Panthers are a bad football team. To the point where, jokingly, tickets are going for $25 at Bank of America Stadium for their next home football game. That's bad. They did a ticket price comparison to get into the Chargers. $100.80. Wow. To get into the Chargers Panthers game, tickets are going for $25. To get into the Cowboy game, for good seats at the Cowboy game, tickets are going around probably as high as $2,500. Like, that's night and day. But the Cowboys are back at home, and they're riding a little bit of momentum. The Saints, they're riding a little bit of momentum. They had a 47-point beatdown against the Carolina Panthers. And here's why I think this game is an interesting game. And I'll give you my prediction at the end of today's show. But as I begin to kind of sift through the film and watch the film, a couple of things became really apparent to me. And I'll start for the Saints offensively. The Saints offensively, their offensive coordinator is Clint Kubiak, son of Gary Kubiak, longtime NFL coach. But what's more interesting about that is where Clint spent his time before he got to the Saints. And this is why sometimes you gotta dig a little bit deeper than just the surface stuff. Because if you had to say that there was a nemesis, that there was a thorn in the side, that there was a pain in the butt, that there was just an annoying gnat at the family cookout while you trying to eat this chicken, or you trying to eat these ribs, or you trying to have these baked beans, or whatever, that potato salad, or whatever it may be. At my place, in my community, we don't put the raisins and the grapes and all that in the potato salad. Some of y'all might do that. We don't do that around where I'm from. Okay, keep that stuff out of the potato salad. But while you're at the family cookout, you kind of just like, oh man, this gnat is it's annoying. And that has been the San Francisco 49ers for the Dallas Cowboys for the last couple of years. They have been the ones that has consistently kind of whooped up on the Cowboys. And to do kind of 6 degrees of separation, Clint Kubiak spent time with the Niners last year as their passing game coordinator. And as I'm watching the film of the Saints offensively, I get about 5 or 6 plays in, and I just stop. And I just go, oh boy. I go, oh my goodness. This is San Francisco. The multiple personnel groupings. They're going to get in 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. They're going to get in 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends, 1 wide receiver. They're going to get in 22 personnel, 2 tight ends, 2 backs, 1 wide receiver. They're going to get in 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. They're going to get in 01 personnel, no backs, no tight ends. It looks, here's how I dubbed it this morning on Twitter. I said that the Saints are the great value 49ers, the great value version of right? If you go to your local Walmart or Kroger or Tom Thumb or Pathmark or Food Town or wherever you get your groceries from, you have the I'll go down the cereal aisle, right? Because this is where it becomes really, really, really prevalent. You go down the cereal aisle and you have those cereals, right? You got your Tony the Tiger Frosted Flakes. You have your Captain Crunch Berries. You have your Toucan Sam on the Fruit Loop box. But if you just walk a few more feet down that aisle, you still may have a box that says Frosted Flakes, but it's like an Eskimo polar bear, fishing in cold water. You still might have your Captain Crunch Berries, but it might be like, I don't know, George the Giraffe, whatever. And you still might have your Toucan Sam Fruit Loops, but the box may be a different animal and its fruit rings. Both edible cereals, just one costs a little more, a little bit more recognizable, maybe have the success that you remember. And so when you go down that aisle, you say, I want Tony the Tiger, not Larry the polar bear, even though they both say Frosted Flakes. And that's what I saw from the Saints offensively. I saw pre-snap motion. Oh boy. Pre-snap motion, just about every single play. They're going to pre-snap motion. Oh, they're going to motion to the backfield, out of the backfield, cross the formation, into the formation, back out to the form. I mean, they're going to motion all day long. And while that's key, because there's going to be this cat and mouse game that is played with the Mike Zimmer defense, right? Because they want to give you these mugged up double A gap looks, and they want to kind of commit guys to the line of scrimmage, but you don't know whether those guys are coming or going, and so on and so forth. And so with these motions and all these motions, they motion before the snap of the ball, they motion during the snap of the ball. And so at some point in time, somebody has to declare. Somebody has to give some sort of indication of what's going on. And the one thing that has been a headache, a thorn in the side, a pain in the butt to the Cowboys have been the way that Kyle Shanahan has run that offense in San Francisco. You can say Brock Purdy, is he better than Derek Carr? I don't know. The way they use Alvin Kamara is the same way they use Christian McCaffrey. Taysom Hill. I saw Taysom Hill play running back. I saw Taysom Hill play fullback. I saw Taysom Hill play running tight end, halfback. I saw him play split out wide as a receiver. Oh, and by the way, he's also the backup quarterback, so he can get under center at times or be in the shotgun at times and be a viable threat to throw or run the ball. That's like your George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk in one. Right. And then you have your Brandon Ayuk and Debo. I think those two together are a little bit better than what they have in Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. Different because none of them have the speed that Rashid Shaheed has. He is a burner. OK, let me tell you that he rocking. He going to stretch the field. But very similar offensive line, right? The Niners have the future Hall of Famer in Trent Williams. They just the Saints put a lot of money into their offensive line. Their left tackle, one of the best left tackles that came out in this current draft, the kid from Oregon. I'm going to mess his name up. It's a really difficult name. I should have wrote it down. But he's him. He's playing well, and they're trying to maul you. They're trying to maul you up front to run the football. They're going to run the between tackles. They're going to run. The wide zone. They're going to run the short zone. They're going to try to run the football. And Alvin Kamara is while he's up there in age, 29 years old. Feel how you feel about older running backs. He still has a little bit of juice left. Did the numbers this morning in comparison. Alvin Kamara and Zeke are kind of neck and neck as far as age and the amount of time they've been on the league. Alvin Kamara has 739 less carries on his portfolio than Zeke Elliott. Like, just think about that for a second. I didn't say yards. I said carries. A workhorse running back. I mean, a workhorse. What Zeke was, what Derrick Henry was in their prime, is a 300 carry. So you're talking about roughly same age, same amount of years in the league, and Alvin Kamara has almost 2.5 full seasons less carries than Zeke Elliott. So he still has a little bit of juice in his legs. It's early in the year, and he's a slippery dude, man. He's a slippery back. That's what I saw from them offensively. And then you have Derek Carr, who's still he's a decent quarterback. He's not, I don't put him in the category of that really, really good to great to elite quarterback group. And I don't put him in that bad, below average, terrible quarterback. Like, he's the separator. Like, he's the last one where if you can go two ways. If you need a quarterback, you'll take Derek Carr all day long and be happy about it. But if you got a good quarterback already in place, you go, don't really need him. We're good. But under this Kubiak offense, and what makes Brock Purdy so good in that 49ers offense is what Kyle Shanahan does for his quarterback is he does the work for him. He does the work for his quarterback in the sense of, I'm going to give you just about all the information you need to properly process where the ball should go. He calls a play. They line up. They do their motions. You find your keys. Is it man? Is it zone? If it's man, Kyle makes it to the point where he says, hey, if we call this play and it's man-to-man coverage and it's this look, ball should go here or here. I've already eliminated all the thinking for you. Hey, if we call this play, when we do this and they do this and it's zone, ball should go here or here. The work's already done for you. So these quarterbacks don't have to go through this tumultuous process of breaking down, looking for answers. The Kyle Shanahan type offense gives you the answers before you even snap the ball. And they don't give you the direct answer before they snap the ball. They give you a very short multiple choice. It ain't hard to figure out or to sift through. And you kind of see that, and I get it. Pump your brakes, Jay Holly. It's just week 1. But I'm looking at Derek Carr, and I'm looking at the way that he's making decisions. He's making decisions, and it's quick decision. It's rapid decision. It's decisive, and when he's doing it, and that's going to be very, very, very important as they go up against this Zim defense. Now, a couple things that's come out this week. You've seen the relationship between Mike Zimmer and Micah Parsons, right? Before they were like, when they hired Mike, when they got rid of Dan Quinn, well, I should say got rid of. Dan Quinn went and took a job as the head coach. And then they brought in Mike Zim. Like their relationship was here. Micah and Zim's relationship was here. All right. And then they went into kind of the OTA things and stuff like that. Micah wasn't there. So their relationship kind of stayed here. And then over time, they kind of just inched closer and closer and closer and closer. And then training camp, you saw them kind of really come together. And then now you're hearing about the relationship is kind of like this now. They're talking about buying horses and all these different things. And the great thing that Zim has done is he's empowered Micah Parsons. He's given Micah responsibility. Not that he hadn't had it before, but he's allowed Micah the ability to have and take charge on defensive things. And that's important because Micah now is more engaged. He's now more, and I don't want to say that he wasn't responsible before, because then I got to deal with people being all upset at me because I said that their precious Micah Parsons wasn't, whatever. But he's more engaged, which means he's studying more. He's taking care of the details because there is the sense of responsibility that he's now been given, and his words, not mine. He's now studying, practicing, and playing, trying to get the approval, the positive approval from Mike Zimmer. And that's great. That's great. When your best player, anytime I start hearing about best player and a coach lining up, I always think about Lawrence Taylor and Bill Parcells / Bill Belichick, because Lawrence Taylor was a piece of work. If you've seen any of the documentaries of the stories, you know that LT was a piece of work. And one that always comes to mind is when a young Bill Belichick is coming to complain to Bill Parcells, and he's saying, Bill, man, LT's showing late to these meetings. I'm trying to conduct a defensive meeting, and LT keeps showing up late. And Bill Parcells just says back to Bill Belichick, then why the hell are you starting the meeting so early? That's what you do when you have a dynamic player. I'm not saying that Micah is showing late up to any meetings. I'm not saying I don't know that. What I'm saying is that you adjust to great players. You empower them. You give them a sense of responsibility, and you allow them. And sometimes that allows them to mature. And you've seen a level of maturation for Micah Parsons, and it's early. But he's saying the right things. He's saying and doing the right things. And so it's going to be interesting. But the one thing that this defense for the Cowboys, who were lights out a week ago, got over 40 pressures last week, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions that they got. Trayvon Diggs got one, and Eric Kendricks got the other. Carson should have had 2 himself. But the thing about this team, and multiple people had multiple sacks on this defensive front. The thing that I caution is for young players, your DeMarion Overshawns, your Marshawn Nealons, your Carsons, and even some of the vets for that matter. This offense is very, very, very eye candy heavy. So they want to kind of do like the now you see me, down you don't, right? They want to create this illusion that, hey, over here we're doing this, but really we're working over here. And over here we're doing this. Hey, look over here. Hey, give me attention over here. But over here is where we're kind of doing our thing. And so if you're not disciplined, if guys like DeMarion Overshawn, who has never seen a Kyle Shanahan offense, when they start doing these motions and they start shifting and those strengths go from we were weak to start the ball, now we're on the strong side, or they start in the backfield and now my count was 1, 2, 3, and now he's the 2. Who has a 3? What should I do? And to carry him up the route and all that kind of stuff can be a bit confusing. So you got to make sure that there's going to be what we call, they're going to make the checks. You got to make sure you understand what are the checks and the checks to the check. So when the defense makes that check call, because Kubiak and Carr have made a shift or motion and it changes the strength, now you got to know. Because if you're in no man's land and you're like, I don't know, somebody's going to be walking around scot-free. And you saw that in the Panthers game. And that's I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying it's something that you have to watch out for. Offensively for the Cowboys, they played okay. And, the offensive line did okay. And if I'm being fair, and if I'm being honest, and if I'm being myself, which I'll always be, if you go back and you watch this film, Tyler Guyton, he didn't have the greatest day. I said this a couple days ago. Shout out to Mike Solari, Brian Schottenheimer, and Mike McCarthy, because they put together a really good plan to protect him going against Myles Garrett. But boy, they're facing another good defensive front. Chase Young's a part of that. Of course, you got the old grizzled vet and Cam Jordan. He's going to be all up and down that defensive line. So, and this defense last year was a pretty good defense. I think they were like in the top 3 or 4 or 5 defenses in the league last year. So another test for the young kids, right? I don't want to call them kids, for the young men. But more so than ever, you're going to see a lot more action at and around Cooper Beebe. He didn't see much action right over his head last week. It was more a lot of him helping and him being able to get the snap off without any distractions. They're going to line up guys over his head. They're going to run some unders and some overs on the defensive fronts, and you're going to see more guys have to deal. He's going to have to deal with, and that's going to be something to watch out for, because we know that we talked about him moving from guard to center and being able to snap the ball correctly. Now, it's easy when no one's over your head and I can snap the ball. All I have to do is now get depth, and be able to help left or right. But now when I have someone over top of my head, I got to snap and punch at the same time, almost simultaneously. I got to get the snap off and being able to get that guy up off me who's charging in front of me. And the Cowboys work both under center and in shotgun. So it's going to be another test. This offensive line, these rookies, Tyler Smith is good. Zach Martin is good. Terrence Steele, we don't know. He's good one week, he's bad one week, he's bad one week, he's good one week. But when you look at, you get the Browns and Myles Garrett defense week 1. You get a really good defense in the Saints and Cam Jordan and company in week 2. And not to be looking too forward, but next week, you get the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, by the time we get to Christmas, these young offensive linemen will have enough. They'll have 2 years worth of game experience, because they still got to go and see Detroit. They still got to go and see the Niners. They still got to go and see, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Pittsburgh. They still got to go see the Giants. Feel how you feel about the Giants. Still got to go see Philadelphia's defensive front. So they're getting that, like you're gonna see TJ Watt, you're gonna see Myles Garrett, Cam Jordan. I mean, the list goes on and on of the you're gonna see Bosa. You're gonna see enough big time players up front where by the time you get to Christmas, you're gonna be like, and then you get to practice every day against Micah Parsons. So they're gaining experience by the minute each and every week. But it's going to be a really good game, man. I look forward to seeing the cat and mouse game between Mike McCarthy and Joe Wood, and then seeing the cat and mouse game between Clint Kubiak and Mike Zim. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun thing to watch. This Saints team, are they a 47-point team a game in this? No, they may, if they're lucky, they may score one more 40-point game this season. Maybe. But if the Cowboys don't come and handle business, which I think they will, the Cowboys are overall better offensively, overall better defensively. Let me add this little tidbit. I know that they have a really good returner in Kevontae Turpin, 60-yard touchdown I took back for a punt return back last week. Don't sleep. Punting and kicking the ball to Rashid Shaheed, you better get your tail down there and cover. Okay? You think Turpin's fast? You think whoever's fast? This kid is faster. This kid is faster. So when it comes down to covering, don't give up a punt. Don't think, oh, we're going to punt. No. Rashid Shaheed is a dog. A dog. But I think overall the Cowboys are just a better football team in a lot of areas. But they can't come home and sleep. They can't come home and just think it's going to be a cakewalk. New Orleans always. I've played for this organization. I've been in that stadium. I've traveled to New Orleans. I've played New Orleans in AT&T Stadium. They travel. A lot of transplants, unfortunately, because of Hurricane Katrina and such. A lot of people from New Orleans are Dallas transplants, and they will be here. They will be in the game. It will be like you will see a heavy contingent from the New Orleans section. They will be there, and they party. They party. They celebrate. So the Cowboys can't come home and open up the season, open up AT&T in this season and sleepwalk. I'm not calling this a trap game. I'm calling this, your tail better be aware that this team can be a headache. It can be the gnat at the funeral. At the cookout. It can be the fly at the cookout when you trying to bust down this watermelon and you on your second plate of Nana and Auntie and them macaroni and cheese. You know what I'm saying? You trying to put down two glizzies at the cookout and they just, the gnats just bothering you. And eventually what happens is you get too distracted and not doing what you got to do with the gnat and you drop your plate. You don't finish your food. So the Cowboys got to make sure that they don't drop their plate and they finish their food, because this team, while I do not think they are better than the Cowboys, I do think they have components that if you're not aware and not on your P's and Q's, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, they can bite you. So I'm picking the Cowboys to win this football game 28-19. 28-19, I picked the Cowboys to win this game over the Saints, moving to 2-0, and then they get really set for a showdown in with the Baltimore Ravens. But got to take care of the Saints first. All right, man, that's it for me. Holla at your boy. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. MR number 4 THAND long, fourth and long, Mr. Fourth and Long. Hit me up on Twitter, man. Remember, you can go and find this on all your podcasts. Where you find all your podcasts on YouTube on the Believe Network. I am your boy Jay Holly, and I am out of here. Eliminate the contingencies.